Check 1 2. Check 1 2. See if we got 4. Oh. Okay, we'll try that in a second. Hi, Rod.
Hey, how's it going, Blake?
Good. How are you, buddy?
Doing good? I'm
Bula.
doing good, man. Bula. Oops. There you go.
Thanks for joining me, buddy.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. This is awesome.
Thank you very
I
much.
love the setup.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while.
Yeah.
My wife, I told her like 2 years ago that I wanted to do a podcast, and she's like, okay, let's get the bar open, you know? And then she's like, and then you can find like a little corner to do your podcast in. And more recently, she's been saying to me, you should really do a podcast, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, like, gosh, she's being so supportive and encouraging. And then it occurred to me that she is just tired of hearing all the shit that I find on the internet. So she is insisting that I just go tell that shit to the internet.
To somebody else.
Yeah.
Don't bother her with it.
I appreciate you sitting here with me today.
So I can hear your shit.
Yeah, hear my shit and taking the pressure off my wife.
I got you, Danielle. Got your back.
So we decided to put it upstairs here. You know,
Right.
we're doing like an open air format, so you can like hear stuff in the background. But you know, that's because we're live from Hakuna.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah,
dude.
for sure, man. When you first mentioned this, I thought it was such an awesome idea. You know, it's like, okay, you're doing something a little bit different than most kava bars, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Thank you very much. You know, I think some people are thinking that it's going to be like a kava podcast, but it's more of a podcast that just so happens to be in a kava bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're going to open up the space for other people to come do podcasts.
Right.
We want you and your team. We're going to talk about your new venture that you're going on, your adventure venture.
Yeah.
And then maybe you guys can come on individually, and then maybe come on and do your own podcast about your show.
Yep.
But we'll get into all that you're working on. What I wanted to do is like just first start by letting us know who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name's Rod. It's short for Rodrigo. However you want to call me, I'm completely okay. You know, again, I just tell people call me Rod because Rodrigo is a little bit, it might be a mouthful for some people. But yeah, no, what I do for a living, I work for a shipping cargo container company. We manufacture shipping cargo containers and we bring them into the US. So I handle the operations side and the sales parts as well.
So shipping containers, like basically the big things you see on the back of an 18-wheeler.
No, the ones that you see on the back, yep, and the ones that you see on the ships.
So I could imagine the past 2 years has been a shit
Chaos.
Chaos.
It has been. So we have had a few containers for a while sit at the coast of LA pending to arrive.
Some of your containers are in that mess.
Yep, some of my containers. I mean, we see them arrive, but they've been delayed more than usual.
Yeah.
So it's not, how do you say, it's not as fast as we normally would get our containers, but we're still getting them, which is a good thing. The problem now is we're getting them really damaged, because what they're doing is they're trying to make as much room as possible when they're loading them and just push as much cargo as they can to save money. Because when back then, where you would only have to pay about $6,000 to get stuff shipped into the US, now people are paying almost 20 grand.
20 grand to rent the shipping container, is that correct?
Well, to rent
To
the
lease
space.
it, to lease space.
Well, so the shipping lines, they're the ones that lease our containers, right? And then the individual, like a store owner, you know, that they own the products, they pay the shipping lines for that space in the container. Because in one container, multiple things can go in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's rare that not rare, but a lot of times it's shared space that's happening inside that container. And
Correct.
you are selling those containers to the shipping companies.
No, we're selling them to individuals. So we lease them to the shipping lines. And then they arrive, they drop them off here in the US, and they bring it back to us. They drop them off at what we call depots. It's like storehouses or storage houses for containers.
Okay.
They only focus on that. And then we distribute them to the individual person.
So before, I think it was February 2021, we started hearing noise of shipping containers being stuck off the coast.
Yep.
Right, this backup that was happening. It was mentioned a couple times, and then in the past few months, it's really been brought to light that there's tons of containers that aren't coming in the country.
Yep.
That being said, before that, during 2020, did you notice were your sales like a big boom and then followed by like a big halt because of the crisis, or
Actually, no. The sales actually went up even more during 2020 and 2021 because while there was a shortage of containers, there was more demand. Now people are desperate; they really need containers. So what we did for any container that we did have on ground, we just boosted up our prices.
Yeah.
You know, you really need it, then okay, here's a container, but we're gonna charge an extra $1,000 for the container.
well, it sounds like business is booming, so that's
Business
great.
boom. Yeah. Well, right now during the holidays, so here's how everything has to balance out, right?
Okay, yep.
So what's really interesting is now all the shipping lines that bought all these containers, they can lease or they can buy. All these freight forwarders, they bought all these containers only to deliver the goods for the holidays. Well, they delivered everything. They don't want to be stuck with all these containers. So you know what they're doing? Now they're dumping them. They're selling them for like $2,000. While I'm still trying to sell them for $4,000. So
You're undercutting your market.
yep.
No.
And it's
kidding.
only temporary. I mean, that stuff happens. It's always going to happen around December, January. It's just temporary, but it always sucks.
How do you protect yourself when you're dealing with your customer? Are you telling them, they say, well, I can get it for $2,000 somewhere
Right.
else. Is there like an approach that you're taking to,
Honestly,
are they buying damaged goods?
at that point, there's really not much you can do. You can try to match the prices you can. If you have a really
Right
good
up on this
relationship,
microphone. There you go. That's perfect. Sorry.
there's not much you can do at that point. It's like, hey, they're getting it for cheaper.
Yeah.
It's a container. The only thing is, how good of a relationship do I have with a person? Are they willing to help me out? But they also are selling it to other people, and it's up to their customer to also buy from them so they can buy from me. So it's a little tricky. We lowered our prices a little bit,
Yeah.
but we also have to make sure we don't lose money on it.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
it's do you speak Mandarin?
No, but
I would imagine it could be pretty important in your industry.
it would be, but I don't handle the purchasing part, so I'm good.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people we purchase from, like the Chinese factories, a lot of the freight forwarders, all of that, they sometimes will sell the containers as well. They speak English,
They speak English, yeah.
so it's.
But your business is done, you purchase from China.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they're all manufactured there in China.
Yep,
I
correct.
also understand there's an issue with China not having shipping containers because they would ship everything here, and then since we don't export anything to China, they didn't want to ship back empty containers. Is that?
Yep, correct. So what they did was to keep business flowing, the shipping lines would just order more containers, and they would order more and more, and that's why we're having all these containers getting dumped, because they pretty much would order to keep things moving.
No kidding.
You know, so while these ships are stuck here in LA, well, they need containers to kind of come back. Well, they're like, well, let's order so we can keep stuff going. So finally, when this one arrives, maybe this one finally entered the port.
Wow.
You know?
That is wild.
Yeah.
What do you think, because you're kind of right on the front lines, can you pinpoint one thing that's caused this backup at the port?
Yeah.
Combination of things? Is it, what's going on?
Mostly the regulations with COVID. You know, they wanted to hold the ships on sea as long as, you know, I guess like what, an additional 2 weeks, 3 weeks before they can allow anybody to enter, so they can be clear of COVID. They can make sure they're okay. You know, so that's really what's holding back all these ships being able to enter into the U.S. You know, they're coming from China, so hey, before you can enter, we're gonna make sure you quarantine a bit, and then we can allow you to enter.
Is that
our
about
country.
the goods or the people on board?
The people on board.
That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I have some friends that are becoming truck drivers right now, and going to make a killing. My understanding is going to make a killing becoming truck drivers, because I think the country's in need of that also.
Yep. Oh yeah, but good luck, man. That's right now. I have a really good customer. He owns a transportation company as well. Wow, actually, I was talking to him this morning. He's like, Rod, I am so swamped, but I'm making so much money, but the level of stress is high.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Because you got to consider, you can go to a port to pick up a container and deliver it to somewhere else, but you're going to be waiting hours until you finally get loaded.
Yeah.
And then when you get to destination, if it's a depot, you're going to wait hours until they unload you.
Yeah, so just really hard on your mental health to be a truck driver, I'd imagine, right now.
Yep. We had a couple of drivers just dump the container in the middle of the road. Luckily, none of them were mine. But they were doing that for a bit because they were like, you know what? I'm doing all this work and I'm not even getting paid enough.
So they just leave an empty container on the side of the road?
On the side of the road.
Really?
It was like a form of protest. But I don't think it was the actual business owners. I think it was like workers, people that work for transportation companies.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling we'll be seeing in the next few years these homes or apartments that get built out of shipping containers. Have you seen that?
That's
before?
my dream.
It's super cool. We were in Tallahassee for some business, and we went to actually a kava bar there. Hey, babe, what's the name of that kava bar we went to in Tallahassee with all the college kids? That was not Kavakazi. She's gonna look it up. But right next to it was like this beautiful garden, right? Outdoor garden. And then you look up and it's like 10 or 12 shipping containers stacked on top of each other,
right?
Painted black. It looked like the coolest apartment complex if you were like a college kid. What's it called? It's called Serenity. Serenity. Okay. It's in Tallahassee. Definitely go check it out. It's an awesome spot. Kavakazi in Tallahassee, also very cool. Side note plug. Okay, so enough about shipping containers.
Okay.
That's what you do.
That's what I do for a living.
What do you love to do?
Well, you know, that's an interesting question. I like to keep my mind occupied, so I like to learn so many things. When I was maybe a little bit after high school, going into college, my friends used to tell me, yo, Rod, pick something and just stick to it. But that wasn't me. So I would learn all these things, and if I didn't like it halfway through, I would just stop, dump it, and learn something new. But what I've learned, and I just want to make this very clear because it's really important that you stick to what your gut tells you. If you want to try it, try it. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you do like it, because what I've learned is a lot of the stuff I stuck with are still in my life right now. And a lot of stuff that I dumped, at least I get to say, you know what? I for sure know that I didn't like that.
Yeah. So don't have fear to do something, whether or not it's going to work for you. Dive in.
Exactly.
Give it a shot. Do your best to see it through. Well, what specifically was that for you that you did?
So I went to college to study sound engineering.
Okay.
And
sorry, buddy. Right up on the mic. There you go.
So I went to college to study sound engineering, and it was something that I thought I would enjoy because of music. Halfway through, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, you're staying up late, you're traveling far from home. It gets to you. And I realized it's not what I wanted. Right. You know, so people are like, well, you got a degree in that, but you don't even work in that field. I went back to school, got a degree in business because I ended up liking the container industry.
Yeah.
I've been in it already for 10 years.
10 years. Really?
Yeah. So, you know, I liked it. You can say the same for all the instruments that I try to learn that I don't even play anymore. But at least I know I made an effort to try to learn how to play them, but I stuck with the guitar. So, you know, those are some very basic examples.
So when you went to school for sound engineering, was your initial like end game to be like an engineer in a recording studio?
Yep.
But the job you got
was live sound.
Doing live sound.
Yeah.
And that was...
But you know what's funny? It was my live sound class, because you have to take live sound 1, 2, and 3. That made me want to switch from recording studio to live sound because I thought it was cool.
Oh, okay. So in school, you thought you wanted to make that shift.
Yep, because there was one time we did a field trip to a theater, and the class got to set up the sound systems for this theater in Miami, right?
Very cool.
I can't remember, but it wasn't a theater. It's called a black box. Just want to make that clear. So a black box is not exactly a theater, but it's more like a small room where they don't really have too many props, kind of like a theater has, where it's all, you know, really huge, and no, it's a little bit smaller. It's more intimate, and all the walls are black, the chairs are black, everything. So that's why it's called a black box. It's more like, think about it when people do improv, you know, acting.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and they're just, it's kind of like that
like
concept.
Like a sound stage.
Yeah. Yep.
Black box. That's funny. I've never heard of this.
Yep. I would really recommend everyone to Google that because it's really interesting. But what it is we help set up the microphones so they can be in a specific area on the actual stage, and people can hear the sound coming out from the speakers, and it's a nice clear sound where it's not getting in the way. You're not getting feedback, anything like that. So it was a really interesting concept because at that point I was like, this is fun. I got to climb. I got to set up all these microphones, do all these random things, very adventurous. So that I was kind of like, you know what? I want to do this. I don't want to do recording. And then when I tried it in real life to set up those huge stages, that's a whole different world.
What's the schedule like? You mentioned something about like you would have to set it up in 2 days or a day, break it down in a few hours.
So let's put it this way. I started Wednesday at 8 a.m. in the morning. And this was finally when I was able to go in, because before that you have different companies that focus on a specific thing.
Okay.
Mine was audiovisual. So you have the people that come in and they just set up the flooring. That's all they focus on, just the flooring.
Yep.
You have the people that come in and set up the drapes. You know, so that's one company.
Like pipe and drape, right?
Yeah, the pipes and drapes.
Okay.
Yep. So that's their thing. This was at the Miami Stadium, the baseball stadium.
Cool.
So you know that thing's huge. So they put this plastic floor all over the stadium on the ground, and then they had all these huge pipes and drapes like literally go up, you know, because they wanted to make like a little ballroom. It was really nice how it looked. And finally, I come in at 8 in the morning on Wednesday. I leave at 10 p.m. at night to drive back to Fort Lauderdale, because I lived in Fort Lauderdale at the time, just to come back and be there at 8 a.m. the next morning on Thursday, leave around the same time, come back on Friday at 8 a.m. and this is when finally the show starts. So it's already 3 days building the stage, but it's not like I get to go home that night. No, because now
not done. Your job's really just started.
Yep, because now it's the actual event. We do the event, musicians come and play. It was for Best Buddy, so people do their speech, whatever it was. And finally, all that work that was done in a whole week, we had to take it all down that same night. So I didn't even get to go home to noon the next day. No sleeping.
That's insane. So
Yep.
you set up from Wednesday, Thursday, full days, setting up the entire show.
Yep.
Friday, you run the show.
For 24 hours straight.
Show stops. You have a cup of coffee and break down everything it took you 2 days.
I wish it was a cup of coffee.
Oh, you found something to keep you going.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe
like,
that had something to do with the lifestyle change too. Probably could be unhealthy.
Yep. I took 3 5-hour energy drinks.
Oh, that's a good way to make your heart explode.
Yep. Yep. But you know.
So needless to say, you found that live sound was not really your niche. But
Nope.
I still see you in here all the time with guitars and cellos, and so music is still a big part of your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why I study sound engineering. I didn't want to get a degree in music.
Right. Well, are you classically trained on the guitar?
No.
Self-taught?
I am self-taught. I did. When I was in high school, I was in a jazz band, so I did learn more like the jazz basics, blues,
Okay.
all that stuff. But as far as the classical guitar, flamenco to be specific, I try to learn that by myself.
Yeah, you're really talented, man.
I appreciate that, man.
You're very talented.
Thank
dude.
you.
So Spider-Man. How many times have you seen it so far?
I've seen it 2 times already.
Yeah?
Yeah.
3D both times?
Nah, the first one was 3D, second was IMAX.
Did you notice a big difference between 3D and not 3D as far as like your ability to enjoy the film?
No, I enjoyed them both equally. 3D just kind of, they don't really do too many jump stuff in front of your face, so you don't really see anything coming out.
Right, it's just like a little bit more immersive.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
No spoilers.
no spoilers.
But what would you tell somebody who hasn't seen it yet? Actually, hold that thought 1 second. Hey, love, will you turn the music down just 1 notch? That's good. Cool. We're still kind of figuring out this whole like live from Hakuna thing, so we want to make sure you're not distracted, or I'm not distracted. But okay, somebody hasn't seen Spider-Man yet. No spoilers. What would you tell them?
Be ready to cry a lot.
I heard you say that. It's an emotional ride.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of nostalgia and emotional scenes.
I think Danielle and I are going to go see it soon. We tried to buy tickets. I think you were
It's been
here.
hard, yeah.
We checked. It was Saturday, early afternoon. We checked like 5 different towns in our area, all sold out. But opening weekend on a Saturday, I can imagine. Right?
Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you are putting together a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Which you recently have a name for.
Right.
Super funny. You and I are talking, and you had like a group chat for your for the people on for the channel.
Yep.
And I think you were calling the group chat Pornhub.
Well,
How did you?
it was a joke, you know, like we joke around just to try to like have fun. So I named it YouPorn.
YouPorn.
I don't know if I feel comfortable saying the next word, but it was just YouPorn something, and then I put the YouPorn logo on the WhatsApp group chat, and you know, it was just for fun.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
So I asked you the other day if you had a name yet, and you said no, but we're just using that for now.
Yeah.
And I had just asked you how many people you were, and you said 4. So we came. It was a great idea to possibly call it 4 Now with the number 4.
Actually, that was your idea.
Well, you said it. All I
Right.
did was just bounce it back to you.
Because I said there's 4 people for now.
Right.
So then you're like, wait a minute, and then I don't know, you just showed me on your phone, you typed it. It's like, how about if you call it 4 Now, but instead of like FOR, is FOUR, like
And it
the
seems
number
like
4.
everybody's kind of into it, at least for now.
Yep. Everybody liked it. Everybody digged it, and I guess for now we're sticking with that.
That's dope. What will 4 Now be? What is this going to be?
So maybe a little background on that one, because I'm very big into the esoteric aspects of life. I love to learn all these different kind of spiritual teachings, right? And one thing that I got inspired by a YouTuber. I can't pronounce his name. It's Hindu, so I can't really pronounce it. It's a little complicated, but he lives in India, and he goes and explores all these temples in India, and he gets into like, hey, why was this made like that? What does these carving means? And that's something that I enjoy. I love the historical aspect of all the occult. That to me is just like learning what were people thinking about back in the day. How did people used to think? What did they do, or how did they come up with these ideas?
What's the word for that?
What?
That practice.
The occult?
No, looking into historical
Archaeology.
Archaeology,
Right.
and I thought there was one more word for it.
Anthropology.
Anthropology.
Yeah.
Anthropology. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the beginning of these thinkings of what you were going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I was just kind of like telling myself, I wish I would have studied something more along those lines to try it out. Maybe I would have liked that more. Travel, see ancient sites, and just learn about it. It's just so fascinating to me. So watching this YouTuber, he was on Ancient Aliens, and I thought it was funny. He was in one episode of Ancient Aliens, and I thought it was pretty cool. But he gets a little bit more realistic. He's not so much into like, oh, the pyramids were built by aliens. No, he likes to also kind of be like, well, they did something that we still haven't figured out to be able to build these giant monuments. He likes to put logic into things.
So, sidebar on that. I think there's over 1 million multi-ton blocks in the Great Pyramids, and they built them in only 20 years. 30 years? I don't understand.
Okay.
We still don't understand how that happened.
I have so many, so I can't say this is I'm not an archaeologist, but it's what I've done enough research on is what I discovered was they used limestone, right? So what they did was they had these stone builders come, and you know, I'm not trying to like specify that because they're American they couldn't do it, but it was just like your modern, you know, American stone builder, and they tried to carve into it, break into it, chisel and all that, and it just couldn't. And not that they could, but it would take them hours. And then a whole completely different YouTube video where it's literally these people in Egypt, what they did was they got about 5 people working on one stone, and they all just carved into it really fast. So it's skill.
Think about, there's 1 million blocks, million giant stones.
Right.
Okay, if you do the math on that.
Right.
5 people per stone.
Right.
Now you're at 5 million people, right?
Yep.
Say you do 1 stone per day.
Yep.
That's 1 million days.
Yep.
Let's see how many stones are in the Great Pyramid.
They definitely
How
had
many
something.
blocks are in the Great Pyramid? Okay. More than 2.3 million limestone and granite blocks were pushed, pulled, and dragged into place on the Great Pyramid. One pyramid alone has 2.3 million blocks that weigh 2.5 tons.
Right.
Okay, so it took 30 years, right? What's that? 30 times 365?
Yeah.
Let me get a calculator real quick. Search, calculator. 30 years. Probably don't need my GPS anymore. Some people, whoever are listening right now, just got very bored because I'm not talking. So if you're watching, if you're listening and not watching, we are looking up facts about the pyramids to see how it's possible they would even do it in 30 years. So 30 times 365.
Right.
That's 10,950 days. Okay. So 2.3 million by 11. We'll say it's 11,000 days.
Right.
2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Delete 1. 2.3 million divided by 11,000. That would mean they would have to carve and place 209 of these 2-ton blocks every single day.
Maybe. It's hard to say. We don't know. My whole goal is not to diminish the human mind by simply saying aliens. You know, that's my whole entire purpose. There's a guy down in Homestead, Florida, a little south, built a castle all by himself. It's called Coral Castle. I don't know if you heard.
Like a coral reef.
Yep.
Coral Castle.
Yep. Don't know if you heard of it. It's really it's mind blowing. So the guy was in love with a 16-year-old girl. He was like 24 years old, which was weird. But from Germany, he moved here to the U.S. and he built this castle all by himself. So says the legend, right? He said he knew the secret of the pyramids when they asked him how he did it. That's literally was his response.
While you're talking, I'm gonna pull this up. So he builds this castle all by himself.
Yep. So the legend says. This guy was able to build a huge stone door that can, just with your pinky, you can push it open, or your index, whatever. A 5-year-old could push it open, but it weighs I don't know how many tons, and it's just impressive. They had people. I forgot what university. I think it was FAU or one of these universities, or no, Miami University. Sorry, University of Miami, come in to recreate what he did, and they couldn't. Engineers.
So multiple engineers from the University of Miami come in, try to recreate what one man did. Couldn't figure it out.
They couldn't figure it out. They made it worse. Now the door's stuck. Now it's just there. Like to this day, it's just stuck there. Like it's more for show. But you can go and find videos from like the 80s, and you see old people pushing that door open.
He built this in the 80s? 70s?
No, he built it like in the early 1900s.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking it up here so we can see pictures of it. This is the first time I've pulled something up on the computer while we're doing the podcast, so bear with me. So we were talking about your love for anthropology and pyramids, and now the Coral Castle. My understanding is your For Now channel on YouTube is going to be
exploring all these places
like this. And Coral Castle going to be one of the ones you go to?
We're hoping that's one of them. Yep.
That's awesome.
And you know, the whole purpose for this, everybody in the group has, you know, a different reason for why they want to do this, but it's really awesome. You know, it started with Brandy. It was her and I were just kind of like talking about how we like to do something unique, explore places, travel, and then she also wanted to make our YouTube channel. So we sat down, we started talking about it. Our friend Jamal was there, and we were kind of like, you know what, Jamal, would you be interested in this? He said absolutely, and then Marley just jumped in. Our friend Marley jumped in. She's like, oh, what are you guys talking about? And we explained it to her, and she said absolutely. It had so far it looks like a great team. Because
do you have the YouTube channel already made?
It's already made, but under construction. So if you want to go ahead and subscribe to it, so once we start getting stuff ready, you know, please do so. We appreciate the support. It's For Now, just FOUR now.
And you can just find that just by searching on YouTube.
Yep.
The number
search
4
channel.
spelled out, FOUR, and then the word now,
Yep.
NOW.
Yep.
You are going to be exploring places like the Coral Castle, which I cannot find.
Wikipedia right there. Coral Castle.
See how this is going so slow?
Oh.
Bummer. Sorry for those of you who are just listening. Trying
I
to
just
get,
Google it on your end. I really recommend it. It's such a great story.
Check it out on your phone.
Yeah.
I have some pictures here that maybe I can show to the camera.
Yep.
This looks insane.
The precision of how this guy aligned certain stones to match certain stars, it's really impressive. Yeah. It's kind of hard to focus it, but it's here in Florida, so.
Okay. That's not gonna work. Sorry, guys.
Just Google it. You'll find
Google
it.
it.
And then
Coral
get the
Castle.
chance to actually drive down there and take a look. They'll do a little tour. It's really
Right.
great.
And if they don't get to make it there, they can see you, and for now, explore it.
We're
in
gonna
the near
try
future.
because they don't allow filming inside.
Really?
Yeah, so we're gonna just take pictures, and every picture they do allow photography, so we're gonna take pictures and try to like discuss about what we find.
Okay.
But that would not be for now. We're gonna start with a few other different locations, but eventually we will get to.
What are some of the other locations you're thinking about doing?
The first one we already got scheduled for January 8th, which we will be heading there to start recording. It is a place called Ancient Spanish Monastery.
Oh,
Monastery. Sorry, monastery.
My sister was married there.
Yeah, you were talking about it.
Yeah, many moons ago. Shout out to my sister and my amazing brother-in-law, their beautiful family. Hi, Maddie. How are you?
Hi, guys.
So I've been there. It's an amazing place.
Right.
You're gonna go there and just tell stories about the facility.
Yeah, so we are doing research right now, and we will mention the history of it during the YouTube channel. I don't want to say too much. I'd rather people watch and
Okay.
you know, so, yeah, they can do research on their end, but it's just impressive because it was not built in the U.S. It was built in a whole different country and then brought to the U.S. brick by brick
Really?
and rebuilt here in
So
Florida.
the whole place was constructed somewhere else. Where do you know?
Spain.
In Spain.
Yep.
Deconstructed.
Yep.
Put on ships. Sailing ships.
Yep.
Sailing ships.
Yep.
Probably made of wood.
Yep.
Stone, right?
Right.
Crossing
stone.
the ocean.
Yeah, it's all stone.
And then reconstructed in
Yeah.
Miami.
And there's a reason why it's called Ancient Spanish Monastery.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yep.
So everybody who's watching and listening can, in the near future, watch you and your amazing team go check that
Yep.
out and explore that whole space.
Yep, like I said, we're gonna start recording January 8th. We already have that schedule.
Awesome. Well, let's get those subscribers up for you guys so you can go start with a bang.
Please do. We are looking into researching so many places that we didn't realize existed here in Florida, so that's awesome.
Do you have any other places lined up?
Yeah, we are planning to do a trip to Key West. We're going to look into the possibility of an underground hotel, underwater hotel actually, but I don't know if that might be possible. So we're still looking into that.
So I have an idea for a potential location, okay?
Go for it.
Transportation might be a challenge, but recently, let me just make sure I get this right.
Yeah.
China, the Chinese lunar rover investigates an apparent ancient Egyptian obelisk on the dark side of the moon. This is like shit out of sci-fi,
Yeah.
right? Science fiction. I'm going to read a little bit of this. A Chinese lunar rover operating on the dark side of Earth's moon has discovered an object the size and shape of an ancient Egyptian obelisk. The Chinese Space Agency has released a photograph of the object.
Wow.
The rover is still 70 meters from the object, and it is not clear. Let's see if I can get this full.
And this is on the
article
moon.
here. This is on the back side of the moon.
Wow.
There's a picture here. Let me find the picture of the rover. You guys can look this up on SMOB servers, dark side of the moon. Just look up China obelisk moon, and it'll show you the picture of this. So if you can hitch a ride with Elon, you guys can go tell us about this Egyptian obelisk on the backside of the moon. And
Right.
maybe we'll get some more answers of how they put 23 million 2-ton blocks into a pyramid
Yes.
over 30 years.
Yes.
So get back to me on that, please.
Oh, I would love to. And if I do, I definitely will get back to you on that.
Speaking of Elon Musk and hitching a ride, have you heard about his Neuralink?
So you were telling me about that earlier. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So Elon has been working on this thing called Neuralink. It's essentially like a Apple Watch without the band that is going to be implanted flush to your skull. So they're going to take out a round circle piece of your skull back by your ear, implant this disc into your head, and it has these diodes that go down into the brain. Okay.
Wow.
My understanding is that the initial uses for this are going to be to help paraplegic, tetraplegic, quadriplegic people be able to walk again. Right. So they first put them in pigs, and they showed the pigs. They showed a pig with it. I showed a pig without the Neuralink. They showed a pig with the Neuralink, and then they showed a pig that had the Neuralink but then had it removed to see that the pig was still fine, right? Then they upped the ante a bit, and they put it in a monkey. They put this Neuralink in the monkey's brain. You can find this video online too. I think it's Macaque Plays Pong. They give him a joystick and a straw that has some smoothie in it, right? And they give him some smoothie every time he gets the paddle to hit the Pong, that old video game Pong. Every time the paddle hits the ball, he gets smoothie in his straw, right?
Wow.
While he's moving that joystick, they are recording his brain waves that are signaling his hand to move the joystick, right? They then reverse those signals so that when he thinks about moving the joystick, it tells the computer to move the paddle, right? He still has the joystick, but now it's unplugged. He's now controlling Pong paddles with his mind, right? Then, last part of the video, the joystick is completely taken away. And now we are watching a monkey play video games with his brain.
Wow.
This is a video just released a month ago, so check it out. It's unbelievable. Elon just said 5 days ago that next year they will be putting them in humans. He has also said he could have it right now and you wouldn't even know it.
It's a little scary. I mean, personally, for me, that's a little scary. And, well, see, the medical part, it's interesting because, okay, so they implant this chip and they can help people that can't walk.
That's the initial reasoning for it.
So that, you know why I feel like that reasoning to me is a little bit kind of vague, because we have stem cell research. They're going to allow people to get a chip, but stem cell research is not okay. And stem cell research, okay, so one thing I want to get into that. I don't really mention this too much, but I was a Freemason, and the Freemasons have this, it's a whole section of Freemasonry where they do research on stem cell in New York. They have a whole building, it's a whole medical facility. That's all they dedicate on. And they have been able to recreate a full functioning heart.
Hold that thought. Maddie, will you do me a solid? Will you have Coral make me a signature sweet tea?
You got it.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I don't mean to make you our waitress.
No, it's okay.
Freemasons doing research on stem cells.
So they've been able to recreate a full heart, and it functions, it works, but they haven't been able to perfect it. You know, so there's still work.
Do they grow the heart?
It grows, yeah. They found something, I forgot what was the name of that cell, but it's a cell that's able to reproduce pretty much limbs, all that stuff. You know, I think it was called the M cell. Don't quote me on that one. It's been a while, so I haven't really talked to many of the brothers. I don't talk to them anymore.
They grow the heart in an animal?
I don't know how they do it, honestly. I'm not too familiar, but you can go online and research about it. They have their website right there. They'll tell you about their stem cell research.
Freemasons doing stem cell research and growing a human heart.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, because that's what they wanted to do, is perfect the heart for people with heart problems. You know, they can be implanted or whatever medical conditions they may have. It can help them with that.
Oh,
right?
That could be a huge. You don't have to hide, Coral. Say hi, Coral.
So for me,
thank you very much, Coral.
And the whole reason why I brought this up is because, okay, so you're bringing a chip, you're going to implant this chip, it's technology, but it also does additional things to your brain. It makes me kind of curious.
Yeah, I think it could leave you, I mean, first thing is leave it susceptible to being hacked. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a Bluetooth device now attached to your brain.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me think of like Liar Liar. Is it Liar? No, Bruce Almighty. when he starts getting the guy to like act crazy on the news and whatnot.
Yeah.
You've seen that, but it's freaking hilarious. So one, being hacked. Two, it seems like technology like this, they always present to us in a way that is gonna, we will receive it well, right? It's either gonna be to help people who are terminally ill or can't walk, or it's a video game, right? It's in a sense of entertainment. So if you remove those things and you think about this ability to, so Elon's meaning with this, he said, is that now that we hold the world's information in our hands, right? We have access to endless information, but our bit rate, our upload and download speed, essentially our thumbs, is very slow. It's going back to like pick and poke with our thumbs. He's trying to increase that bandwidth between the mind and the phone, right?
Right.
So, and I'd imagine this is going to be very expensive when it first comes out. So imagine a very wealthy person gets this. Those are the people who are going to get it first. They're then going to be able to communicate with the world's information instantaneously. If we think there's a gap between the haves and the have-nots now, imagine how much farther these people are going to be able to go if they can seamlessly and instantaneously communicate with the internet.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Right.
You know? I would love for it to help people walk again. Hopefully that happens. I think it would be cool to be able to, if you can't think of the name of a song, I guess you'd never not be able to not think of a name of a song again.
Yeah.
You know? Something that occurred to me last night was that they're talking about using them for the phones. But now this Oculus, our friend Reese let us borrow the Oculus.
I got the Quest. Yeah.
And we put the Oculus, I put the Oculus on last night, and I also ate a gummy, which I start thinking crazy shit, right? Shout out to Poseidon Botanicals, by the way. Their Delta 8 gummies are fire. And then it occurs to me that Neuralink is going to be perfect for the
metaverse.
Oculus.
Yeah.
Because you get rid of the handles completely, and now you're controlling the Oculus with your mind. And essentially, with two pieces of technology, we have hijacked the human brain. You know, and I think it's wild. I think it's maybe an inevitable part of evolution that we're living through right now. Slightly alarming.
Yep.
Slightly exciting.
Did you ever you watch Star Wars, right? We're talking about the old movies.
So those are the ones that I've seen, but don't quote me on quotables because like I've seen them a few times and it's been years.
Right.
But what were you gonna say?
So in The Empire Strikes Back, when they get to Cloud City, there's a guy that he literally has the it's like these goggles, but he's a human. He clearly looks like a human, but he's actually controlled by Lando with a remote control on his arm. Right? So it's kind of reminds me of that. It's like it's a chip in his brain and he can like make that guy do whatever. Like it's like his bodyguard or something. But
this is like an avatar. So to speak. It's a robot that he is controlling through
it's a human
arm.
It's a human he's controlling.
It's a human.
He has something implanted in his
hijacked.
Yeah.
Hijacked.
Yep.
This is exactly what could be a fear. You know?
Yep. I mean, you know, mind you, Lando is like, he's the leader of Cloud City at that point, but he's not really like the bad guy, you know, but still, it's kind of scary to know that somebody can control you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm, if they really care so much for the health aspect, you can say, hey, well, what about stem cell research? You know, there's no actual manipulation of the mind there. It's just manipulation of whatever specific part of your body needs manipulation, right? If you have knee problems, back problems, but the mind, that's a little bit too extreme, I think.
Yeah. Have you heard of CRISPR? CRISPR?
No.
Gene editing machine.
Wow.
That they're already using to. So if you have a child, and I think
they want to change the eye color,
the eye color,
hair.
you want it to be an athlete. Again, another way that people are going to be making leaps and bounds. Wealthy people, you know, are going to be able to create that distance, and God only knows what China or Russia would do with technology like that. I have an article right here that says China is currently creating brain control weapons and weaponizing biotech.
Wow.
Let me read this briefly because this is exactly what we're talking about. The U.S. Department of Commerce suspects a Chinese military academy and 11 of its associated research institutes are developing technology to support the Chinese military, including brain control weaponry. Academy based on the body of information, military uses, end users, including purported brain control weaponry. There's something here where it says the scientific pursuit of biotechnology and medical innovation can save lives. Unfortunately, China is choosing to use these technologies to pursue control over its people and religious minority groups like the Uyghur Muslims. So essentially, they're working on biotechnology
Nanotech, all of that.
that will allow their military, here it says, that would allow a Chinese commando to discharge a weapon with just a thought rather than his finger. Now that's one thing where it's like they're using the mind to control the weapons, but if you reverse that and they're able to just control your mind, this is stuff of science fiction and it's literally happening.
Yeah. People in the future are going to look back at this video and they're going to say, hey, look, remember, and that was just an interesting topic. Now everybody does it. Now it's like a norm.
Yeah, it'll be a new norm. It's like between CRISPR and this, you know, they're creating super soldiers.
Yeah.
You know? Have you seen these drones, these drone swarms?
Yeah.
Like 1,000 drones. Again, they're using them for beautiful light displays right now, right? Oh, it's so pretty. Imagine if those are weaponized.
Yeah.
Wild time to be alive.
It really is. I mean, well, you know, it's interesting because I feel like it doesn't matter what time in history we're born, everybody got to see something unique about history, and it's like the evolution of humanity. I'm sure looking back at our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, they were all going through something political or non-political, whatever, that was changing humanity, and they were like freaking out. They were scared, you know, and they didn't think it was a good idea, but now here we are. You know, and maybe they were right.
Good point.
Maybe they were wrong. Who knows? You know, I feel like to an extent we have depended a lot on technology. You brought up a really interesting comment earlier today, which reminded me of something that happened a couple of years ago. And you know, you said how maybe aliens are really us from the futures, trying to get us to go into all this technological world, the meta world, the metaverse, all of that, so we don't actually kill each other.
Yes, exactly.
Because if not, we're just going to end up sending nukes to every country, and then it's the end of the human race, you know?
That's exactly right.
A couple of years ago, this was an interesting story. I believe it happened somewhere in Africa. A UFO landed. It was these kids playing in the playground. It was during school lunch, and they all claimed they saw the same thing. A UFO landed, and when they all saw the aliens, they all said the same thing. The aliens did not talk. It's like they were communicating with them telepathically.
Yeah.
They just knew what the aliens wanted them to do or say.
Do you remember, this is one of the wildest mass abduction in encounters of the fifth kind that has ever been documented. I know exactly what you're talking about. I think it was in South Africa. Do you remember what they reported that the aliens told them through their minds?
I don't remember that.
That you are using technology is progressing too quickly. Something along the lines of how technology could destroy humanity.
Interesting.
Which is very interesting. It goes a little bit against how I'm saying that aliens maybe want us to use technology to create them in the future. But that is in a new documentary with Jeremy Corbell. It's called excuse me, I can't think of it. What is it? It's called The Phenomenon or Phenomenon. It's insane. There's tons of it's one of probably the best UFO proof and evidence documentaries to date. And that story is
they brought in psychologists, therapists, all these different people just to study these kids, and it's like adults can plot something very well, and they can kind of get into details. Kids don't really plot things, especially to the top detail, and they separated all these kids and they all said the same thing.
Yes,
the same experience, they all had it.
Yeah, and this is 20, 30 years ago, and then they got them all back together again 30 years later, separate, and they all still said the same story, and you could tell it impacted these people for their entire life, because at a certain point in time, if you would say something like that, people would think you're a total crackpot. Nowadays, they talk about UFOs on CNN, and nobody bats an eye.
Yep.
The
Pentagon releasing all that.
I was told I was a conspiracy theorist for years because I thought aliens might be real. Now there's potential that aliens are not only real, they've been on our planet for millions of years, living in the ocean.
Yeah.
Some people say that there's even some alien species that are working directly with top governmental officials. Now that might sound crazy, but you can look into it. One of the best sources is a guy named Jeremy Corbell. He's on Instagram. Don't get me started on UFOs. This is like my shit.
All right, we can change it if you want to.
No, it's cool. We've already been talking for almost an hour. I really appreciate you joining me today. One more time, where can people follow you on for your new For Now web series?
Okay, if you guys want, you guys can follow me on my Instagram. I'm not really on there too much, but from time to time I will post things. So it's _, and I will be eventually posting things about the YouTube channel. But you can still subscribe. It's still under construction. There's no picture on it, no banner. It is called For Now, and it's spelling the number 4.
Okay, FOURNOW.
Yeah, and it's 4 space now.
Okay, excellent. And that's going to be Rod, Marley,
Brandy,
and Jamal.
Yep.
4 excellent people. And how about this? I'll have each one of them individually come on, talk to them individually, and then we'll also continue to plug the show.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Rod, thank you so much for joining me today, bud. Bula. And let's continue this conversation in a later date.
For sure. Sounds good.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Later, everybody.
Have a good one.
That was great, Rod.